Okay, so this is the long pattern part of the lesson. Okay, we don't need the long pattern for the C shape. We need it for the G shape unless you're just doing a pentatonic. Now, any of these chords you can do, any of these keys rather, the key of cage, C, A, G, E, or D, you can do tritonics there. So you can do your C, of course you can do your C arpeggio, right? You can do your C arpeggio, of course, because C you can do everything. You can do the tritonics and you can do the diatonics. Now with that, let's just look at the G for a second. With the G shape, uh-oh. Wow, we got through that one easily. And of course with the G pentatonic. So you can do your G pentatonic open. You can do your G tritonic arpeggio open. Remember that G is going to start on that E, so it's going to low E, so it's going to be a G pentatonic, so it's going to be. All right, that's your G pentatonic. But your G arpeggio doesn't really start on E, so that was my bad there. It starts on G and it goes. Whoops. I've confused it with the other shape. Let's do that again. So, my bad's for playing a bad arpeggio. Okay, but you can play it. The point of what I'm making is you can play the arpeggio and triads, you can play the pentatonic, but you can't play the G diatonic without hitting this F sharp. So you have to use the long key, the long pattern here. Let's just get to it, okay? Because you know we've done a lot of lessons on those arpeggios. Okay, and they can be tricky because you're plucking notes out of a larger scale, and the lesson also we're going to learn today is that a smaller scale always fits into a larger scale. So triads always fit into the pentatonic, and the pentatonic always fits into the diatonic. That can be very helpful if you don't know where those notes are. So if you know the pentatonic but you don't know the tritonic, you know, the arpeggio of the major or a minor. A minor fits into the pentatonic of a shape that's one letter up on the cage scale, or one letter down. One letter down, actually. One letter up would be if you wanted the minor Dorian. It gets a little complicated, and we've talked about that in previous lessons at length. So without further ado, I want to cover this subject here, and I knew it was going to be rough. Okay, this is like Montezuma's Revenge, from what I'm going to teach you how to play beautifully these barred patterns, these lead patterns, away from the fret nut, at least one fret nut. So if you one fret. So if you're looking at this is your guitar right here. Okay, if we play F, that's one fret away from the fret nut. We can go ahead and play those lead patterns. It's difficult for me to see the guitar. It's difficult for me to see with that capo on. Okay, so the lead patterns work everywhere as long as you're 1 fret up. But we're going to learn how to play open, because people love to play open chords. I mean, I love to sit at night and play things like, that kind of thing. It's just so easy. But let's talk about the major scales. So, want to look at the simplest one. We have one here that's the key of A. We have an S3XL. We have to talk about where the X3XL comes from. Do we have to talk about that? Here's our X3L. Just take it as a given. Take it as a given. I always give this long pitch about how I found out about this using the 7L pattern. Okay, not this S5L pattern, but the long 7L pattern, which I don't know if I have that on this chart or not. It doesn't matter. We don't want to waste time, so just take it as it is. The pattern's 5, 6, 7, root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, stack of 3 strings, extra long. Look at how long it is. It's 5 frets long. It's longer than any of these pattern stacks here. These capo barred, not capo, barred pattern stacks here. It's pretty long. That's why it's called extra long. Okay. Now, when you stack it up, you have the S3XL here. Okay, worked on this today for you. And then in between, there's another one here. And in between that, we've got an S4L. Where's our little S4L there? Right there. It's a brickyard pattern. It's square. Okay, so there's 2 pattern shapes. Again, we want to review from yesterday. We've got the square patterns, and we have the 7L shaped patterns. The 7L, there's 2 7L patterns. You don't have to remember, hey, there's 2 7L patterns. How many patterns are there? That's not going to be a question on the test. But there have to be 2 patterns that we're working with that are 7L shaped. So here's the 7 part, and here's the L part. That's it. So it's the S5L. It's a good pattern because it's got whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step. It's easy. And we're going to invoke this pattern. Alright, and then we have the S3L, which is right here in the purple. There's also a 7L shaped pattern like that. And then we have the S2Ls, the brickyard patterns, just stack of 2 long. Okay, and then we have this new S1 pattern here. And these guys we're gonna see them in the other charts. Okay, so and this is just a little case of the C cage, in case you, hey, I don't see C here. This is a cage. This is aged, not caged. Look, the C has disappeared. I think I did that on purpose now because it's aged. But here's your C, just in case you were looking. It all fit. There's your fret nut right there. Okay, it all fits in on the in that open cage area. And then these are your string shapes that you would play if you're just going to go by string shapes. Okay, and they're going to fit in. That's pattern fitting. That's pattern fitting. So on the top here we've got like a 5, 6, 7 root 2. When we look over here at the S3L, 5, 6, 7 root 2 is a 7, makes a 7 there, but because of the tuning warp, the tuning differential, we've brought the top 2 strings to the right 1 fret, so they're brought over. Now it's like a brickyard. But this isn't a pattern. This is a fretboard. This is a cage. Okay, so the difference between a pattern and a cage is the pattern's all P4 tuning. This is all P4 tuning. A cage, such as this, where this E banner is down here, E cross A cross C, which incidentally is 1, 4, 5. It's just that the 5th of E is B, but we take it to augmented C to make the cage circle. This is a cage.